Jaguars are rumored to be interested in a certain Pro Bowl edge rusher. Let's talk about it. So before we get into this video, quick word from this video's sponsor, BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
So guys, right now on BetUS, there are next team odds out available for so many different free agents, as free agency is coming up in the next week or so. Some different players you guys can actually bet on for their next team include Austin Eckler, Baker Mayfield, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Michael Pittman Jr., Mike Evans, Saquon Barkley, Matt Pollard, Brian Burns, Alvin Kamara, Haasan Reddick, Stephon Diggs, and Kirk Cousins. And some interesting notes with this is just a week or two back, you could actually bet on Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley has actually been taken off of this next team odds, so I don't know if that's leaning toward him definitely coming back to the Jaguars or what that has to do with. And also, Josh Allen was never on this list, so maybe it's never in doubt that he's going to be back with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll just have to see. And one thing I found interesting going through this is that Brian Burns actually the second best odds to land in Jacksonville. You know, when you look around at his next team odds. So I found that pretty interesting. So yeah, if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits using promo code JOIN125. Yeah, 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits now, which is an awesome promo from BetUS. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about this edge rusher news. So some interesting news spawned in the last day or two. According to Cowboy Country's Mike Fisher, the Jaguars and Cowboys are 2 teams that are interested in potentially making a move for Eagles edge rusher Haasan Reddick. And look, we all know that the Jaguars right now need an edge rusher. The Jaguars, as the roster currently stands, only have Trayvon Walker and Yasir Abdullah currently under contract. So the Jaguars are a little bit light in that category. Now, before we even talk about Haasan Reddick, we got to get something done with Josh Allen because Josh Allen is that dude that the Jaguars need to re-sign. But all signs are pointing to him definitely being back for the Jaguars in 2024. It feels like what's going to happen is they're going to give him the franchise tag and they're going to work on kind of negotiating for a new deal kind of toward this summer when I think the deadline to bring out a new deal is July. So if you franchise tag him, you basically get 4 more months, 4.5 more months, I should say, to basically negotiate a long-term contract. So March and April can be all about scouting and building your team and figuring out what you need. May, June, and July can kind of be focused on really banging out a new deal because those months are a little bit less busy as a GM. So, yeah, like I said, you got to get a deal done with him first. And look, the Jaguars have been linked to a bunch of different edge rushers, really even over the last year or so. The Jaguars twice, both before the 2023 season started and at the trade deadline, were rumored to want Danielle Hunter. Like I said, Brian Burns, it's at least favored, odds are that he might land with the Jaguars. And now Haasan Reddick now. And we remember at the trade deadline, also Josh Uche was out there. Also, the Jaguars inquired about Chase Young. So, yeah, and also the Jaguars are interviewing a bunch of edge rushers to potentially come over to the Jaguars. So, really at the combine, they're interviewing a bunch of edge rushers. So, yeah, the Jaguars, there's no doubt. I mean, all you had to do was take a look at a roster and see who's under contract to know that edge rusher is a big need. And last year, the Jaguars just, outside of Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, just didn't get anything from that unit. Didn't get anything out of that. So, they got to work on really being able to not put a Band-Aid over it, but actually bringing in a really good player to be able to come in here and generate sacks. The Jaguars let Arden Key go to the Tennessee Titans and replaced him with nobody. I mean, literally nobody. Didn't replace him with anybody, and there's no wonder why the Jaguars' production dropped so much. Now, Haasan Reddick, he signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Eagles in 2022. Over the last 2 seasons, he's accumulated 27 sacks okay, and actually has 2 Pro Bowl nods. So you're getting a pretty good player in Haasan Reddick if you were to trade for him. He has a $22 million cap hit with a dead cap hit at $20 million. So the Eagles are in a situation where if they don't want him anymore, they're going to have to find a kind of do a salary dump trade for him, because the Eagles right now are in a tough place roster-wise. They don't have a, you know, they don't have a lot of money, is the best way to put it. I don't know is it over the cap, under the cap? What's the word if you don't have a lot of money? Okay, they're on not a lot of money side of the over under cap. So they're going to have to do some roster trimming. And if they want to get rid of Haasan Reddick, they have a bunch of defensive linemen, so it'll had to be through a trade. And, you know, we all know how it looks. Like when Jalen Ramsey was on his rookie contract, the Jaguars were able to get 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick for him. But Jalen Ramsey, under a huge contract, only got traded for a 3rd-round pick and tight end Hunter Long, if you've ever heard of him. So that's kind of the name of the game. You know, the contract really determines the trade value, and right now, you know, he's a $20 million cap hit. That's a decent amount. And look, the Jaguars right now don't give up anything more than a 3rd. I would prefer it if you said that all it would take is like a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, and that's very intriguing, especially since the Jaguars have 2 4th-round picks. So something that you're going to have to really consider, and we'll see what the Jaguars end up doing. Do you guys want the Jaguars to pursue edge rusher Haasan Reddick, and what would you trade for him? What's the max you would give up for a player like him? I think for me, 4th-round pick would be for me for a guy on that has 1 year left on his deal. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. Shout out to BetUS. Like I said, 125% deposit bonus. Your first 3 deposits using promo code JOIN125. Also 10% gamblers insurance, 24/7 customer service, and quick 24-hour payouts. Thank you guys for watching. Go Jags.